Okay, so welcome everyone to the Market Research Masterclass. I'm Irene, I'm MCP of ISEC in Spain, and I will deliver today's session that it will be about how to conduct a market research on the MC level. So for you that, for ones of you that may not know me, I'm MCP of ISEC in Spain. I was also MCP POD last year, which led me to do the market research like this in my entity. So it helped me a lot. That's why I'm here today sharing it with you. And I've been 4 years and a half already inside ISEC. So yeah, this is a little bit of my history. In today's session, we are going to talk a little bit about how to align with your MC in order to do the market research, which was the timeline that I follow up and like how it was working for me, the stakeholders that I involved, as well as the divisions and responsibilities inside the MC, and also about my research and the tools that I did a little bit more into depth. So that way you can get to know what I did, and for sure if you want to use them, I just share it with everyone on the BPT, so you can feel free to go to them and yeah, look at them. So if we go for the part of like how did I align with the MC in order to do this market research, for sure, first of all, I ensure that everyone had the same goal. Like we discussed overall together the objective of the market research that we wanted to do. We make sure that everyone was onboarded on the timeline and where they needed to put the focus on, like mainly where were the parts that they were involved and like that they were needing to pay attention to. I don't scale the timeline, the tools and the responsibilities. Review who was in every part of the process itself, like, I don't know, MCVP, OGX, you're going to be involved here, marketing there, and whatever was like in every part. What was the reason behind of having the tools? If they were not understanding why we were doing so, usually they were not using them. So I was mainly focusing on that a lot. And if their responsibilities was to track for someone else to fulfill the tool, to fulfill them, or just to review what was the output of it. And then for sure, in each part of the process, we ensure that we were reporting how we were doing. So actually we did it on MC meetings or remote reviews or even like on planning. That way everyone was onboarded on everything. So if we go for the part of like what was my case, first of all, we were working in which were like the questions that we were working on. So first of all, it was like if we wanted the LCs to run OGTE as a product. The second question, it was like if we wanted to keep OGTA as a focus product and if all the LCs were able to run it. And third of all, is like if we could reach more people to join IS, how we could reach more people to join ISEC. You can see here the fix and the cross. I actually was able to achieve the two first ones. I didn't achieve the third one of how to reach more people inside ISEC. So that was mainly my bottleneck. However, like the two first questions, we ensure that we have the answer. And actually, like the next steps were follow up on replanning and like also on our planning. So like we realized that the LCs didn't have the market to run OGTE and local levels, so we were stopped doing so. We kept OGTA as a focus product. However, we saw that some LCs were not able to run it that much. And the third question was never answered, so we never had the output of that. If we go for also the kind of the research that I did, I was working on external understandings for the week. We will talk more about what was inside the external understanding in each part of the process later on. I was also working on the market size and the growth for around 2 weeks. Internal understanding also 2 weeks, customer insights 3 weeks. This also needed to recollect the data, so it was much more time in order to ensure that externals were filling the service. And the conclusions also took us around 2 weeks. So if you want to know more about which are the questions and which are the objectives that you want to have, there is another session delivered previously. I hope you were there, but if not, you can go and check it about how you can focus your product, like your market research into something. If we go more into depth into the timeline that I was last scaling to my MC and how I was doing it. So before we even start the market research, we were already like onboarding the MC on it, which were the tools that were going to be used and like everything. And we had 2 weeks to work in every tool. So the week before even I started, I was ensuring that my MC understood how I was doing so, how was the tool working, which were their responsibilities, and like how they could feel it, or if I was feeling so, then they needed to do nothing. In the week that they were supposed to be working, so they were just working at it. And the second week, like the week that they were already supposed to have the data, I was reviewing everything on Synergy with everyone on them before presenting it to my MC, like on MC meetings or monthly review itself. So each time that we did part of the market research, we were reviewing the data even before showing it to the rest of the MC to ensure that we were correct. And anyway, if someone had feedback on during the MC meeting or the model review, we were reviewing if we were doing correctly or not. If we go for the stakeholders involved and how they were doing so for sure I had my MC involved. I already mentioned it. Sometimes they were fulfilling the tools by themselves, other times they were delegating it to ESTs. So actually, if you have ESTs that are working into, I don't know, market segmentation or similar, it can maybe help you. And for sure, later on, they were always reviewing the answers and the insights because I don't know if someone else was doing so. It's important to ensure that the MCVP is agreeing with the data, and if it's not agreeing, why, and if we should adapt it or not. And we also involved the EVs because we understood part of the market research was highly going into the market of the universities, and for sure, even though we had some data, it was not complete. So we were ensuring that they knew the timeline, they knew in which part they were involved, and we also downscaled to them the output afterwards, the way they could use it if they want to. Mainly for what we used the EVC was for customer insights. So actually they were able to promote it inside the university and with their classmates because they usually have a lot of groups where they talk. So they were just sending them there and also as mailing inside the university. And also we involved them on the part of market sizing to review the data and provide us feedback. It was done like basically with the marketing commission, this part. So we actually sent it to them, and if they had any kind of feedback or any kind of question how the data was recollected, they were mentioning so. If we go for how was the division of the responsibilities inside my MC, we had OGX and ICX. Basically, they were the ones developing the analysis of the areas, ensuring the correct data and reviewing it. My marketing and the ESD icon were working more on the buyer persona, the analysis of the data and the promotion of the customer insights. So actually, the customer insights were, for one part, promoted by marketing in our social media with university relations and similar, and also inside our icon, because we reach our like the kind of views that we wanted, like the views of Spain. So it was also useful for us to ensure that it was arriving there. And we also anyway reviewed all the data that was done with the MCP, ensuring like the insights, the timeline, and the people that was involved. Also here, kind of GCP, if you're MCVP in like another country that it's not your home entity, I would recommend you to always like kind of recheck the data with someone that it's coming from the entity. In my case was also my MCP, as also I am from the entity, just because it was easier for us to understand if maybe something was missing or something could be included. Plus, anyway, take care, because like usually if you're coming from your entity, you have more mindsets. So it may be that something that you're putting as bottleneck, you don't have data to support it. So actually it's just a mindset instead of a bottleneck. So you have two sides of the story. So it's always good to have different kind of people and stakeholders involved. So until here, like a little bit more of theoretical part of how I did like all the timeline and like the questions that I was trying to answer and similar. Does anyone has any question? I guess a silent is a no. Does everyone has clear, which is good, right? I don't know how to pronounce your name.
Yeah, I do have a doubt. Yes. So in the previous slide, first of all, thanks a lot for sharing this information, Irene. Till now, like it's amazing. Now, like in the division of responsibility section, in the marketing and EST icon part, you said after ensuring buyer persona and analyzing data, there is promotion of consumer insights. So what do you mean by promotion of consumer insights? Like, do we share that the market insights at about 35% of the people, youth market are like this, or do we like share the data or something like that? Because I never came across that before.
Yeah, for us, we did a survey. Actually, I will be able to show it, but it's completely in Spanish, so it will not make a lot of sense for you. We were doing a customer insight survey asking the youth like whether if like they were interested, I don't know, global volunteer, global talent, global teacher, what they were studying, kind of like a whole analysis of like the customers itself. So marketing was helping us because here marketing is the one involved with like university relations. And also like ICOM, it's kind of this, like it's just like inside the entity, but it was helping us to promote it, to promote the survey itself, to be sent to everyone and to reach more people.
Okay, got it. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Later on, anyway, we allowed the LCs if they wanted to look up the data to just like we just download it in an Excel, and we send it to them just in case they wanted to look at it and they want to analyze it like even more than what we did.
Yeah, got it. I actually got confused, but okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, that clears my doubt. So it's basically marketing the survey, right?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Any other question? No. Well, I hope everyone has already clear which are your objectives in order to do the market research. I think that's the most important part. And later on for the rest, ensure that you're involved in everyone. I think it's like the best way it worked for me was everyone already knew from beforehand what they had to do. So if we go a little bit more into depth, if you don't have any questions into what did I did in my market research, I was already saying it before, I did part of external understanding. Inside it, I included a PESEL. It was done by me and it was reviewed by the whole MC itself during an MC meeting. I also did a SWOT of the external context. There is like a difference between SWOT of internal context and external. External was like, how was the market behaving? How were the universities working and similar, and how it affected every area. It was fulfilled by me and it was anyway reviewed by MC and every MCVP of the area. Then we did 5 forces and competitive analysis. I will show you later on like the tools and everything. So if you have doubts about this part, just wait a little bit more. Anyway, here there are links, by the way. So this part was fulfilled by every MCVP and was reviewed first by the MCVP, by me and the MCP. And later on, for sure, everyone looked at it. We did market sizing, that it was fulfilled by me. There was like a lot of data to get here, so I think like that was one of the things that took me more time. And later on, it was reviewed by MC, but also by LCPs and LCPs marketing. Like we just sent them to both. Usually, it was the LCPs marketing that they were asking some questions, and like that way they could have feedback if they wanted. Then we did internal understanding. We did another SWOT, but this one related with how is like the areas working, and just it was like kind of more general, going for human resources, finances, and operations itself with the 7SS model. I will talk about it like a little bit later on also. Then we did customer insights. It's like what I already said, like we did the customer survey. It was created by me. It was reviewed by marketing and MCP. And they also for sure the questions itself, how they were like saying it in order to ensure that they were clear and that everyone could answer it. And later on it was promoted by ELSIS and also by our EST ICOM. And then the conclusions presentations, it was done by myself. It was presented in replanning and also in a VOP call. That way everyone could get access to like our market research. Also, furthermore, we took the decision of not run OGTE in any LC after this market research in the planning. So actually we were going to the VOP call with all the data. So it was much more easier to for everyone to understand what was our reasons made for. If we go itself for each one of the tools and each one of the parts. So this is part of the external understanding. There are 3 parts, so I will go one by one explaining them. So this was the first PESEL that we were doing. So actually this tool is much more larger, but I didn't have the space to put all of it, but you can make yourself an idea of it. So the 3 questions that I was answering, it was like, what does it mean like for the short-term programs, the long-term programs, and what were the takeaways? And I was for sure dividing it as the PESEL is divided into between political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental issues. Every time that I had like a supportive document that was saying that I was like kind of searching for the right data or similar, I was always trying to link it because I think it's always interesting to have the data, not just for my term, but for other terms, because like actually my answers is still reviewing this market research. And then we were going through every part and we were answering the questions. If you kind of use these kind of tools, I must tell you, please don't try to always fulfill all the blank spaces just for the sake of fulfilling them. Sometimes if you're just like a little bit more concise, it's completely okay. So no need of like researching like, I don't know, 100 hours if you're still not finding anything. Don't put data that you don't know it's correct. Then out of the pastel that it was like kind of general, like per area, but it was like still like in one tool. We did a SWOT per product, and it was like, you can see here afterwards, like it was divided in each one of the tools. This was like, if this is OG tab 1, so you can see that we were dividing it between strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And later on, we were just trying to comment things that were out of the market, like from the market. It's not about like our membership. Like, for example, you can see one weakness is like low conversion rate, inequality performance, but we are not talking about like lack of memberships or like similar stuff that we are trying to avoid, because this is about external research part. And then we have like all this above part was fulfilled by me, and later on was reviewed by every MCVP and by everyone in the MCM. Then this part of 5 forces of quarter analysis, it was done by each MCVP. So I don't know if you saw this before. I think this is one of the ones that maybe we use less. Here we do divide the analysis between the supplier powers, which means like how much supplies we get like into our businesses. For example, if in this case we were talking about OG type, I'm not mistaken, we were talking about universities because it was our principal space to do attraction. We were also talking about IR partners and also about companies that our EPs were going for. Then we were also talking about buyer power. Here it's basically our EPs and whether they could find another opportunities or not to have the same kind of experience. Threat of new entrants in the market, like basically a competitor that could enter, and like also of substitutes products, like I don't know, for us in between internships, there is also Erasmus Plus, or there is also other internships that universities offer. So actually that was for us like one of the threats. And then competitive rivalry, that actually it's kind of related. It was like, which were our main competitors. For us, it was like university and Erasmus Plus, even though they were not having the same kind of value proposition than us. For each one of the parts, we were actually talking about which were similar, and then we were rating if the influence of each one of the parts were high or low. So actually, we could see how we were affected. We did this kind of analysis for each one of the products. We did it for all the OGX products and also IGTA. Until here about the external research part. Do you have any questions about the tools? How do they work or similar? You can always find the link in the slide above. So if you any way you want to go over it, you would be able to, or just want to copy. Does anyone has any question? 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I will keep going, and then I'll go for the internal research. So here I was doing an analysis of our human resources. Later on, it was also finance and also operations overall, like as a whole. For sure, the SWOT is already divided, and I think everyone knows the strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And later on, I was dividing it in the 7S model, which it's like a lot. I hope like you can get them. If not, you can ask me. There was a part of the strategies that were actually how like the entity was developing, and which were our strategies for as MC or a local level. Then the structure, meaning like which were like the growth path that we were having. Also how like there was a membership evolving like and similar. The systems that we were having in order to track that everything was working, and like the procedures that we were doing. Shared values for like everyone, and like what could be involved that they were still not there. Skills that our entity had or our entity missed, and similar. For style, actually, I didn't found, like you can see here inside the membership part, anything that was important to be mentioned. Maybe in others I did, like, as I said, like if I didn't found anything too important to mention, I was not just filling the space for the sake of filling them. And then staff, talking about how the entity was behaving, kind of like you can see here that I put it like as dependent, that it was like dependent, like as stuff like a weakness was like that I was depending on the MC, but also like I put it like some opportunities that I could found and I could think they were important. So I did this kind of research for human resources, for finance, and for operations, and I did it by myself. And anyway, I reviewed it with all the NCVPs because I think everyone was involved here. There is any question about the internal part of the market research? Usually something that I struggle with, and probably if you do this kind of analysis, you will, it was like the 7S's descriptions and similars. So actually you can find every one of them there with questions that will be easier for you to answer. So it will be easier for you to do. There is any question? Okay, so if there is none, I'll continue for what was for me like the most kind of insightful part. So it was the market sizing. So this is the market sizing of just one product for you, but you are able to see it. So I was asking like answering 5 questions. First of all, how many people or partners will purchase? Actually, that's how many customers we do have. How did I did this? Actually, I went into every university's like website. I searched for the number of like students that were in the degrees that we are interested in. I was like, I don't know, it's part of our program, and we were counting like which were like the years of that degree that actually were more useful for us. So I don't know, you can see the first university. I was going to the Aterra University webpage. I was searching for the students of economics. I was then calculating how many could be interesting out of like the degrees, how many could be interesting for us actually, like, I don't know. We were just talking about like second and third year of university. So I was putting, sorry. So that was like the first part of like how many people, and that's what I said, it took me like a long time. Then we were calculating the conversion rate. Actually, I was more or less calculating it from Expo. You can see that it's similar because there was some problems with Expo in that moment, or similar. So actually, we took kind of the average that we did have. How many units they purchase? Usually, it's always just one. So we were just taking it. How often? For us, it was the same. And how much they would pay? For us, it was just like the LCS fee for the program, and like LCS program 3, sorry. And then from this, we got like a calculus. Actually, it's like the multiplying everything together. What was like interesting for me is that I was comparing all the products. So actually, I could see how my entity and how every LC was able to be working in each one of the products in each one of their main universities. For example, I was understanding here, if you can see Malaga, that it's the 4th one, that they didn't have almost any market in order to run OGTA, and was like, I would say not like the best idea from our side to focus into these products in this university, because like it was much more difficult for them in order to achieve the results. Meanwhile, they had like much more bigger market for OGV, so we could focus on the product and we could do it better. So this was like the market size in itself. So actually, it was like making the previous tool that I show you for every product in OGX, and then we were getting like all the data in one same tool. That way we could compare the axes. There is any questions from this side of the research? I guess there is none. This was like my main big part of like the market research. I'm not able to find to show you the customer insights part, because for sure everything that we did it in Spanish, because it was much more easier for our kind of for the people that we wanted to attract to find to fulfill them, to do it in Spanish. And actually the way that we showed and the replanning the report, it was mainly going through the tools and through like another tool that we just like fulfilled with everything. So that was my way of doing the market research. For me at the end, it was useful. Yes, for sure I could have get more, but I decided to just focus on 2 main questions, and that was it. And actually I got like the insights that we wanted, so we just took next steps. And I think this is it from my session. I don't know if you have any questions about anything or something. I guess that's a no. So I will stop sharing. Anyway, I think like I will send the output to everyone, and will like inside the output you have like the links of all the sessions, like all the tools. Sorry, so if you have any question later on, you can just approach me and I will be happy to answer. So, and I think you can stop recording maybe.
There's one question.
Sorry, I didn't saw the chat. Yes, like the templates are like are actually like the ones that I use. So you can just take out all the data of mine and you can just like use them for you. If you have any question about any part of data or similar, you can just ask me. Anyway, there are some parts that actually you find how the research are supposed to be used. So it's easier for you to understand that. Mainly the SWOT and the 7 S's part, it was like a struggle for me to understand that. Okay, so